Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Hummel, the Tier 6 German SPG. This one's located on the south spawn of Prokhorovka and it's under the command of Angelina75. Now, for those of you who are not regulars to the channel, Angelina is the partner of talon1958 and they've got a weekly competition running between them to get the best results out of the game. And the best scorer and the winner actually gets a lie-in on Sunday morning, whilst the loser has to get up and look after their little boy Remy as he starts running around the house causing mayhem. Okay, so Angelina's starting off the week because the last contest was won by talon1958, so he got the weekend lie-in, and Angelina's very keen to get the lie-in this week because she's missed it for 2 weeks. And so her first effort is in the Hummel. Now, Germany made 705 Hummels during the Second World War, 157 ammo carriers as well. These were the munitions target, and they actually just carried the shells. They're identical vehicles, they just didn't have the gun on them. Rounds out, direct hit. Yep, that one hit the VK2801-105. She's changing position to avoid counter battery. Now the Hummel was actually designed in 1942, but they didn't build them until 1943. It was supposed to be a replacement for the other artillery, the Vespa, and that was a near miss on the Strip 74. It was supposed to be a replacement for the Vespa and the Gorilla, but unfortunately it wasn't built in sufficient quantities to hold back the tide of Soviet tanks that were coming in their direction. It's got a 15cm howitzer and it's got the stock gun on this version, which if you're not an Arty player you'll know that this actually has got a better trajectory just behind him. It's got a better trajectory than the Top Gun, although it can't fire over the entire range of the map. The shell goes much higher and it's got a faster reload, and there goes the Jagdpanther. So he's reloaded, or she's reloaded rather. Looking around for a target. Nothing in sight. So it's got a faster reload. The standard reload for this Arty is 25.31 seconds, and Angelina can reload in 20.50, so very quick. She fires the round in at the Barras, but he moves forward to get out of the way of the shells. There's 2 Artys on the team, or 3 Artys on the team, sorry. We've got an FV207, the Tier 8 British, a Crusader SP, the Tier 7 British, and Angelina in the Tier 6 German. And it looks like that Barask actually took a hit nearby. Oh, Angelina gets 102 off the Super Hellcat, and he's killed by the FV207. Now, the rules of the competition between her and Talon is that whoever gets to an ace tanker first, they win the weekend lie-in outright there and then. But if there's no ace tanker at all between them during that week, then it's the highest score first in terms of classifications. So a first class will beat a second class, and the second class will beat a third class. And then if you do earn a medal, such as a Confederate, then that will be the draw decider. Well, she hit the Skoda with a splash, and he got taken out afterwards. So she's picked up a load of stun assists off that one. Oh, the Baraska's been tracked. Unfortunately, Angelina's not fully loaded yet. She will be momentarily. Rounds out. And she gets another hit, 221. He's getting really pummeled, that Baraska, and he's out the game. They're 4 up on the enemy, so they're having a really good game so far. Okay, she's reloaded and looking for a target. And because they've cleared most of the enemy on the middle and the right hand side of the map, now they're looking on the left hand side over on the west. I think Arbras has gone up to do a quick run along the edge to see, and he's found someone. Unfortunately, they found him as well, and he's been wiped out by the E25. So going for the Hellcat. Looks good. Oh, yes! Landed right behind him for 149. I thought if he kept reversing, then she might have actually got that shell inside the cockpit to kill the crew. She's getting closer and closer to the center line, but she's going to need to, because those enemy are quite some distance away. Okay, she's having another look in that direction. I go up near the spotting bush. That's where the Su-100M1 was last seen. You can see there's 2 marks on the map in C1. She's also looking right at the back of the map because there are enemy Arty. And it looks to me like they're all over there. Now, that tree was suspiciously knocked down. So she planted around in there just in case the enemy Arty was there. Yes, if the enemy Arty is going to be on the map, probably going to be just over that tree line, somewhere around these bushes. There's a tree been knocked down there, so there might be an enemy Arty. Well, that was on target, but there doesn't appear to be an Arty. There's one of them, the M44. He's been wiped out. The other 2 Arty are an M12 and an Su-14-2, the school bus. Okay, she's trying to work out where this Su-100M1 is headed. Rounds out. Long flight time. You can see from the mods that we use, you can see the flight time for the shell is nearly 3 seconds, 2.7 seconds from where she was until she reaches the target. And an enemy tank can actually move quite some distance in that time. And the Su-100M1 is out of the game. There's only 5 enemies left, and 2 of them are Arty. Okay, she's having a look over this side. There's a tree knocked down there. Now that might be where one of the Arty is. There's another tree alongside it that's been knocked down. I think she thinks the target's in there. Round goes in. No Arty spotted, but there might be somebody in that area because trees don't knock themselves down, so it's very likely that the enemy Arty went in and did that. And that's why Arty players look for trees that have been fallen, because it gives a clue as to where the enemy might be. Of course, most tank drivers are very careless. They knock down trees, they don't care about what they do, and it gives away their position, and we can use that to try and strike them with a blind shot. Okay, now there's a Hellcat been seen in grid square C1. She could try over there with a blind shot. Our Hellcat's moved to a position where he might be able to spot them. Okay, is she having a look at C1 yet? Checking all the likely positions. There's a spotting bush up there where an enemy tank destroyer might be located. Having another blind shot. It's getting closer and closer to the enemy. It shortens down the flight time, but obviously there is some risk that the enemy might locate you or see you. Oh, there's one of them. It's the E25. It's just backing up, and yes, he's taking fire. Okay, he's trapped. Rounds out. Oh, close. She stunned him, and she got the stun assist off that one. Well, I just heard a whoosh of an Arty shell go by, so somebody is in the vicinity. She's having a look in this corner again. Rounds out. Long flight time. And there's one of them. It's the M12. He got too close to the bushes and was seen. Angelina's loading as quickly as she can, and he's been taken out of the game. So it looks to me like the 14-2, the Su-14-2 school bus, is probably over this side of the map. Rounds out. Long flight time. It looks like our teammates in the other Artys are pummeling this area. I think they know that there's somebody hiding amongst those trees. And she pulls back just in time to see the KV4. He's gone into the fold in the ground there, but it's not going to help him. Angelina's going to be loaded shortly. There's one Arty shell landed. That's the Crusader doing that one. And we're capping. Oh, unfortunately our capper has been taken out. And the KV4 is taking a hell of a lot of punishment. He's almost out of hit points. In fact, he is a splash kill now, and he's gone. And that means there's only 2 enemies left, the Hellcat and the school bus. Well, they still think he's over here. Okay, she's on the move. Now, she is getting closer and closer to where the Hellcat might spot her. But it will shorten her reaction time to get a hit if they are spotted. Now that's the spot that I thought he might be in those bushes, sitting up there. That's where the Hellcat was last seen. Now our Crusader's actually on a spotting run. Decided to go into that area, and he's found the school bus. Okay, there he is. He's actually moving towards the Crusader. He's going to take him on from a rear shot. The only Arty in the game that can actually shoot backwards. And yes, Angelina picks up a kill. And the Crusaders found the Hellcat as well. And he's out of the game, taken out by the T25-2. So this game is over. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was the first class tanker for Angelina75 in the Hummel. It's a good start to the week. She got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, she got 10. And she got a Confederate because she hit more of the enemy than anyone else on her team. At least 6 tanks subsequently taken out by other teammates. And her win rate from the battle was 1,484, which is good. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, she didn't get the highest damage in the game. That went to the Scorpion on the enemy team with 2,637. The next high score after that was, in fact, the Canonian Jagdpanzer 105 with 2,073 on her own team. And then the T25-2 with 2,061. Angelina got 939 out of that one. When it came to kills, it was shared between the Canonian Jagdpanzer, the T25-2, and the SU-100M1 on the enemy team with 3 kills apiece. 2 kills went to the 53 TP, the Brask, the Super Hellcat, and the SU-14-2 and E-25 on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, we can see that Angelina actually came second. The T25-2 got 1003, Angelina got 778, and that just beat the E-25 who got 774, and he picked up a tank sniper in that game. The Scorpion on the enemy team got the high caliber, and the KV4 managed to get a defender medal. "22 shots fired in the game, 3 direct hits on the enemy, no penetrations, but 12 splash. Damage of 939 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damage 9 of the enemy, kill 1, so she got an 8 difference there, which is why she picked up the Confederate. 1,254 hit points of stun assist off 10 stuns. And on a free-to-play account, Angelina earns 27,564 credits. And after ammunition resupply, took away 16,454 credits. 778 base XP, times 2 for the first victory, took away 1,556 experience points altogether. And she said at the end of that game, she only had 5 rounds left. Yes, you don't get a whole lot of rounds in the Hummel. In fact, you get even less if you use the Top Gun, because that's only 18 rounds allowed. Whereas with the stock gun, you actually have 27, so it's a little better. And of course, as I said, they do load faster. So a good result there for Angelina to start off the week. I think that firmly puts her in the lead, because now Talon's going to have to try and beat that score if he can. Now, before we do that, we've got a new feature which we've been doing just recently, and I think people tend to like it. We'll just go over it again for the Hummel. This is the armor profile for the Hummel. You can see it's basically a Panzer IV chassis with Panzer III running gear, and they've moved the turret. They've taken the turret off. They put the engine in the center of the tank and the gun directly above it, and that gives plenty of room at the back of the vehicle for the crew that are operating it. The driver's up front in this vehicle, and if you look at the armor profile, you can see that right at the front it's only 30mm thick on the armor where the driver's looking through, slightly angled, so 32mm effective armor there. Lower plate is only 30mm thick, but it's given 36mm effective, and the gun shield around the howitzer is very, very light indeed. 10mm of armor. Effective armor is only 12, so yes, any shell hitting this this area here, the gun shield, it will go straight through. The gun shield is actually only meant to stop shell splinters and small arms fire. If you can see from the rear, it's even, yeah, it's the same thickness there, and 20mm down below with 23.4 effective. So the armor is very weak on this vehicle. Where are all the modules? Well, if we look at the module map, we can see that the driver's sitting up front, and they've actually put the driver's mate with the machine gun. In fact, actually, that's the radio operator in this game. And they put him right next door to the driver with the radio set between them. The transmission is directly in front of them, and the engine just behind them, directly underneath the artillery, the howitzer, as I mentioned before. At the back of the vehicle, you've got the fuel tank right on the floor. And on this side of the vehicle, as you're looking at the right hand side of the vehicle, you're looking at it, this is the gunner, and on the other side is the TC, the tank commander, and behind them is two loaders, and they've got the ammo racks at the back. Now, if I remember correctly from the geometry, from pictures I've actually seen, this little ammo racks box here is for the propellant cases. It uses a sort of tin which you put bags of powder into to work out how far the shell will be flung, and the actual shells themselves are the 15cm shells are in these boxes here. So normally when the artillery was firing, the back gate of the Arty would lower, and the munitions charger would drop a few shells at the back of the vehicle, or a few crates of shells, and then the people in the Hummel would actually feed those shells into the breech and put the powder charge in from this little ammo rack over here. So if you want to take this tank out, you aim for the very back of it, because there's the ammo rack and the loaders, and yes, you're likely to get a big bang if you can put a shell in here, preferably an HE shell, because that would definitely go through the armor. If you're aiming for a fire, you'd aim down below. Engine shot, you'd have to aim directly underneath the gun. So that's where everything is in the modules. Let's have a look at the second replay. The second replay is on the north spawn of Abbey, and this time round it's talon1958's turn to play the Hummel. Okay, 2 marks of excellence on the barrel, the same as Angelina. He's also using the stock gun because he knows the value of the howitzer, which is so much better than the top gun. Okay, it was Forenzia, the Arty expert, who actually told us to use the stock gun, and most players on What Arty Noobs took that information to heart and are getting better results because of it. Oh, somebody knocked a tree down. They were careless. That means there's somebody there. And here comes the tank of Prokhorovka. Direct hit for 166. He's been tracked. So Talon's following him, but I don't think he's going to get another shot in. And he's out the game. But the Progetto manages to get into the Abbey grounds, as well as a AMX 1375. Oh, he does fire another round in, and actually he stuns the Progetto. Looks like one of our team managed to get into the gate area and pump some rounds into those enemy tanks as they were going into the Abbey. Yes, I think it was the AMX 1357. Okay, we can't... Oh, there's another enemy, we can spot him. It's the T-3485M, and he's tracked at the moment. Rounds out. Direct hit. 167 and he's wiped out. You see, Talon knows the value of actually dialing in on the target before he shoots. He's very careful about that because it increases your chances of getting a good direct hit on the enemy and doing a lot of damage to them. He's dialed in fully on the Caliban. Rounds out. Oh, that hit. But we don't know how much damage he did. But he definitely hit it. Now, I heard the roar of an enemy Arty in the distance. I suspect that the enemy Arty is firing at our end at the moment. AT-15A. Okay, line up. Work out where he's going. Okay, he's stationary. Rounds out. Yep, that's a hit. He managed to get 94 from the hit because the AT-15A does have fairly heavy armour. You can see the yellow mark just on the front of his vehicle. That's where the shell impacted. Now, I think that's the Caliban that Talon actually hit earlier. And we can see the mark on the front of his vehicle, likewise where he was hit. Okay, Talon can see the AT-15A now, but he's actually in the shade of that rock. And if he comes around the corner, Talon will be able to lob a shell in there. Oh, he's going to try anyway. And he stuns him. Yeah, so some enemy tanks are getting close on the east side on the river road. Talon can always move to go over the edge of the cliff to get into cover. But I have the feeling he's changing position so he can get shots on those guys on the river road. Also, there's an IS moving up through the village, and he might be trying to get to a position so he can actually shoot at Talon. Okay, we've got the Caliban in sight. Oh, he just wiped out our T-3485M, and he's been killed in return. So, okay, we're going for these two now, the Progetto and the AT-15A. Progetto's got very light armour, and he loses 96 hit points to Talon's shot. There's the IS. That's the reason why Talon moved. He could see that guy and thought, yeah, I've got to get away, otherwise I'm going to get hit. And in fact, the IS, oh, he kills himself diving off the cliff. That's very useful. Made a hell of an error there. Now, it might be a good idea for Talon to drive over to the west side now, where the M40, M43 is, because the enemy's getting very, very close, and he's just been spotted by the AMX 1375, who's nearby, and he's weaving to try and avoid fire. And he's taken 2 shots from the enemy, lost his gunner, and now he's stunned and tracked. Just needs to get over to the west side, and that M40, M43 needs to move a little further south. It seems that the enemy AT-15A, or the other AT-15A, because they had 2 of them, came up and they saw him, and that's why they started firing. Okay, so he's now in a position so he can return fire on them if our teammates will spot for us. Needs to get a better arc on the enemy. Okay, he's trying to get a shot either on the Cromwell. He's making a quick dash for our cap area. Of course, he saw the Super Hellcat and he turned around. He's not happy. Okay, can we line up a shot? Rounds out. Bit of a snap. But it did get close to the Cromwell. Probably took a few hit points off him. Okay, the west side, the east side of the map is now open to the enemy. So, oh, the Cromwell's gone. Taken out by the M40, M43, so the Super Hellcat needs to defend himself against the Tiger 1, who's about to come through that gate there. Super Hellcat's moving to a position so he can spot him. And Talon was dialing in, but now the AT-15A has come into sight, so he's dialing in on that target instead. It's not looking so good. Now we're down to just 2, and it's just the Arty left alive. So Talon's going to have a few more shots if he gets a chance. Rounds out. He pulls away because he sees the Tiger, and the Tiger is killed by the M40, M43. Got enemy just coming up behind us, the AMX 1375. Talon's not loaded yet, but he will be momentarily. He might be able to get a shotgun. It's worth it. Okay, get close to the enemy. Okay, enemy Arty fire coming in. Oh, we got the shotgun! Excellent shot, considering that guy was weaving. But the M40, M43 has been wiped out, and now it's just Talon all on his own against 3 of the enemy. And that includes an AT-15A, a Lorraine 155-51, and an AMX 13 F3AM. The AT-15A is not a very fast tank destroyer, so it's actually a good idea for him to move south as he's doing at the moment. He hasn't got much in the way of hit points. He needs to put his gunner back in though, and unfortunately, because he came out without a first aid kit, he can't put him back in. He opted to have the oil instead of the first aid kit, and he does use premium consumables because it speeds up the reload. But if you don't have a first aid kit, it can be a bit awkward if you lose a member of crew. Well, the enemy are capping, and he's holding on this corner for the moment in anticipation of one of the enemy vehicles coming around the corner, probably one of their Arties. I suspect it's the AT-15A that's in the cap. Now it's 2 in the cap, so one of the Arties has joined the AT-15A. And now all 3 of them are in the cap, so there's absolutely no chance of him getting to the cap in time. It's all going to be over momentarily. And that's it, they've capped out. I doubt he would have been able to make it back to get a reset in time. Here's the end of battle results, and it was the second class tanker for talon1958 on the Abbey map. He managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, on this one he got 5 exactly, as well as a Confederate medal for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. His win rate was 1,287, which is good, but he normally gets ace tankers, and so does Angelina for that matter. And unfortunately, because he's only got a second class and Angelina managed to get a first class and a Bruiser and a Confederate, I'm afraid that means Talon is still in second place. Or losing place, I should say. Let's have a look at team score. Well, he didn't get the highest damage in the game. That actually went to the Tiger 1 on the enemy team with 2,641. And the second highest damage was the Progetto 46 with 2,618. And that was followed by the M40, M43 with 2,489. Talon managed 978 from that game. When it came to kills, it was the M40, M43 shared with the Tiger 1. They both had 4 kills apiece, and 3 kills went to the Progetto 46. And when it came to base XP, it's the Tiger 1 with 1,129. The Progetto managed 871, and the AMX 1375 842. And Talon picked up 390. He fired 10 rounds in the game, got 5 direct hits on the enemy and 1 penetration. I'd love to know which one he did penetrate. Let's have a look and see if we can tell that, because normally it will say. Yes, it was the AMX 1375 when he shot him on the run. The shell went right up his rear and went straight through his armor as well. So a very good shot, that one, considering he'd actually lost his gunner at the time. Let's have a look at the rest of the detail. 11 splashes on the enemy, 978 hit points of damage, of which 735 were at more than 300 meters. Received 2 hits from the enemy, both penetrated. I'm afraid, yeah, armor's very thin, as I showed you in the armor layout. He also received 1 hit by way of splash damage as well from the enemy Arty. He damaged 7 of the enemy, killed 1, did 845 hit points of stun assist off 10 stuns. Received 31,176 credits on a premium count, 6,162 for courageous resistance. That's because he got an epic or battle hero medal in a losing or drawn game. It was a battle hero medal, a Confederate. 37,338 credits, and after repair, ammunition, resupply, took away a profit of 30,652 credits. 585 XP for the game, 390 for Courageous Resistance, took away 975 experience points altogether. So it sets the bar, as he says, for his first effort of the week, but he has been beaten by Angelina already. So yes, he's going to have to put in a bit of extra work to get a better score than Angelina, or she'll be getting the weekend lie-in next week. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And please do remember that we're putting all the proceeds of the channel to the Red Cross for relief in Ukraine and to help the Ukrainian refugees. So please do watch as many of our videos as you can, and hopefully that will help send more money from Google towards the Red Cross appeal. Thanks for watching.